I call this regular meeting of the Comal ISD Board of Trustees to order at 7 p.m. on November 20th, 2025. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551.071 through 551.089. Good evening, board members, district staff members, and members of the audience. We will begin this meeting as we do every meeting. You are free to join me in standing as I, Courtney Biasotti, lead us in a word of prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the pledge to the Texas flag. Lord, we come together today with grateful hearts for the opportunity to serve our students, families, educators, and community. Clear our minds and give us compassion in our decisions. Many of us in this room have a difference in our thinking and our principles, but I ask you, Lord, to help us listen with patience, speak with respect, and act with integrity. May our choices today reflect what is best for our children and families of Comal ISD. May we work together to create a safe, nurturing, and inspiring environment for every student. I pray as we enter the time of Thanksgiving that we reflect on what we are thankful for. I am thankful to lead this board and serve the district to help shape the future of Comal ISD. Thank you for the many blessings you provide in our lives every day, but I pray you heal the broken hearts and shine your light on those in darkness. Lord, please bless our schools, our teachers and staff, our parents, and especially our students as they continue to grow in knowledge, character, and confidence. Bless this room and keep everyone safe as we continue to do the work you have called us to do down here on earth. Keep our hearts kind, our minds open, and our words positive. In your name we pray, amen. As a district, we dedicate all our efforts and resources to our motto, Growing Greatness. The board uses this motto to guide all deliberations, decisions, and actions. You will get to see all deliberations, decisions, and actions of the board in open session, with the exception of some items which may be discussed in a closed session as stipulated in the Texas Government Code, Section 551, commonly known as the Open Meetings Law. These items typically deal with personnel matters, consultation with our attorneys, and real estate. For the record, the board members present are David Krasinski, Amanda Jones, Russ Garner, Tim Hennessy, Amy Shaw, and myself, Courtney Biasotti. We constitute a quorum and may conduct business on behalf of the district. Before moving on to the next agenda item, I'd like to remind you that the board will accept comments from citizens of the district and from district employees. Persons who wish to speak during public comment and audience participation must have completed a form for this purpose and placed it in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. When the board addresses agenda item number 3, public comment and audience participation, you'll be invited to the podium to speak to the board. Our first agenda item is number 2, board recognition. I will turn it over to Ms. Camille Montoya. Board members, please go down.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Chapman. We are excited to share recognitions with you this evening and appreciate the students and parents who took the time to join us to be recognized. Parents, please know you will be able to take photos after each group is recognized. This evening, we are recognizing 22 students who have been selected as National Merit Scholars. Annually, the National Merit Scholarship Program recognizes students based on their performance on the PSAT National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Exam. This year, 5 students have been named National Merit Semifinalists and 17 have been named National Merit Commended Scholars. We begin with our National Merit Scholarship Commended Scholars. They're among the top 50,000 students with the highest scores on the qualifying PSAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying exam. From Davenport High School, Braylon Snyder. Isabel Templeman. From Hill Country College Preparatory High School, Brianna Schmeis. Isabella Villarreal. From Memorial Early College High School, Orion Kaufman. From Smithson Valley High School, Julio Avila. Augustus Borschelt. Luke Schrader. From Memorial Early College High School, Russell Flournoy. And I'm going to stop Russell right there because I went on a little too fast. Russell is one of our National Merit Scholarship semifinalists. Of the 1.3 million students who take the PSAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying exam, only 16,000 qualify as semifinalists. This year we have 5, and Russell is our first one from Memorial Early College High School. From Hill Country College Preparatory High School, Kajav Singh. And from Smithson Valley High School, Summer Williams. Our next and final recognition of the evening honors the 500th career win for Coach Courtney Patton, the Assistant Athletic Coordinator and Head Volleyball Coach at Piper High School. The 500th win happened on August 12th when the Warriors beat Floresville. Coach Patton, who was named the San Antonio Express News Coach of the Year in 2014, is in her 22nd year of teaching and coaching and her 8th year in Comal. Congratulations, Coach Patton. Thank you all. That concludes our recognitions for the evening.
All right, the next agenda item is number 3, public comment, audience participation. Persons who wish to speak during public comment, audience participation must have completed a form for this purpose and placed it in the designated location prior to the opening of the meeting. Ms. Comstock, do we have any requests? Before we begin, I'll remind our audience members of the board's procedures for handling public comment and audience participation. Anyone interested in speaking in person during public comment, audience participation must have completed a form and listed the topic they wish to discuss prior to the start of the meeting. Each speaker will be allowed to speak once during public comment, and audience participation will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes to address the board, dictated by Board Policy BD Local. Because the board wants to hear from as many of you as possible while also keeping this meeting running efficiently, groups of more than 5 people who want to present a particular viewpoint on a topic should appoint one person to speak on behalf of their group. Please remember that the board cannot deliberate on any subject that is not included on the agenda for this meeting. Board members will listen to comments but will not respond or answer questions. We will also ask that you do not discuss students who are not your own. The timer will be shown on the screen in front of you and will begin when you arrive at the microphone to speak. Again, the speaker's presentation will be limited to 3 minutes. Our first speaker this evening is Mr. Tristan Cleve.
Board, good evening. My name is Tristan Cleve. I'm a citizen here in Comal County and a graduate of Canyon High School. I have actually an award of my own I want to present to the board. I came in last month and talked to you all about SB 10 and SB 13 and the district's non-compliance in a lot of ways. Part of it, I was a little frustrated with the fact that after 11 weeks we didn't have the documents needed to present them in every classroom, and I made a promise that I would do my best to get us supplied every one we have, and so I'm proud to say that we did that. And the first one that I have is for you all. You don't have a copy of these 10 commandments here in the class or in this room. And while I understand that yesterday a judge struck down that we have to remove them, I believe that's going to be temporary. And when it is temporary, I want you to know that the parents, at least the parents that I spoke to between last meeting and this meeting, support this initiative. They support the ideas and the principles that come with the 10 Commandments. Whether or not you're Christian or not isn't what people are trying to instill in young people. They're trying to instill that you shouldn't steal. They're trying to instill that you shouldn't commit adultery. I can't think of anybody of any denomination who wants to be cheated on by their spouse. I can't think of anyone that thinks stealing is acceptable or that lying is acceptable. And as a community, or a village if you want to take it that way, as we try to raise our young people to be better than us and better in the future, it takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of pushing in order to steer them, especially in the world we live in today, especially when their time is occupied by cell phones and video games that are counter to the principles and values that a document like the 10 Commandments references. And so I'm proud to tell you that we did gather all of them that are needed, that were deficient. I think there were close to 1,100, and that I'm very proud of you all. I did email you all a couple of weeks ago and told you that the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, was willing to defend this district in any district that faced scrutiny. And so I've actually emailed the Attorney General himself and actually told him we're making headway in Comal County. I think this is one of the finest districts you can be in here locally. I've been to other districts and been to other meetings. Their boards, it falls on deaf ears. So I actually am telling parents in other districts that if they're unhappy with their board's performance, it's time to start moving that money. The money now follows your student, and that applies to you all as much, or Comal as much as it does to Hayes, to San Marcos, and Seguin. If they're not going to do right by their students, I'm going to encourage them to move their kids here. But that goes the same here. If we're not going to do right by our students, I'm going to encourage them to go somewhere else. But I personally just want to thank you and tell you I support you. I think you're doing the right thing, and I think it's important to be bold in the face of this. So I'm happy to present this to you.
Thank you, Mr. Cleve. Our next speaker will be Ms. Debbie Leinbach.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Chapman, and everybody else. Mr. Cleve pretty much took my speech, but that's okay. I just also want to let you know how much I appreciate your clear commitment to complying with the new state laws. You were given a whole bunch of them at the start of the year, and you really, really showed your willingness. One of the examples was to remove certain books from the approval agenda, which signaled to the community that this board takes legal compliances seriously and acts responsibly as new requirements take effect. I know you know what some of the key points of the Senate Bill 10 are, but some of the other people might not. And I want to just refresh everyone's memory. 3 of them. Districts must accept any privately donated copy that meets the legal requirements. No public school is exempt from the law. Districts may choose to purchase posters, but are not required to do so. That's why it was so important that we started knocking on doors, and thanks to the generosity of Comal County residents, the Hayes County Republican Women's Club, and Representative Carrie Isaac, they were able to help us fulfill all of these posters without using any district funds. But I want you to know the 10 Commandments are more than a display. They are a timeless guide to honesty, respect, responsibility, and self-governance, values that strengthen both school culture and community life. Texas law recognizes its historic, cultural, and moral significance. I'm a numbers person, so here are 10 reasons, catch it, 10 reasons why having them in our classroom matters. Number 1, it promotes the respect for others. Number 2, it encourages honesty. Number 3, it reinforces self-discipline and sound decision-making. Number 4, it provides a clear moral reference point. 5, it encourages fairness and kindness. 6, it encourages contentment and gratitude. 7, it discourages violence. 8, it strengthens families. 9, it strengthens classroom culture. And 10, it reflects our shared community values. These principles do not divide us, they ground us. They help prepare students not only for academic success, but also for citizenship, leadership, and life. And look at what you've already produced. I love listening to your awards. That's what you need to do. Thank you for your time, your service, and your dedication to the students and families of Comal ISD.
Our next speaker will be Ms. Kim Roth.
Okay, apologize for not looking at you. I'm gonna barely make it through this. I have to say I was impressed with the head coach at the beginning of strength and conditioning. He called me and left me a nice message introducing himself. I called him back and we spoke for a good 15 minutes or so. He was so excited to have D out there. Dayton is my son, not Dylan, as he referred to him. I don't know what happened between the end of conditioning and that first game, but it all changed. Somehow he didn't like him anymore. He took his ball, he went home and left him on the sidelines wondering what he did wrong. Dayton stopped playing after freshman year because of the same disrespectful coaching culture we are here for today. He worked really hard for over a year to get back to that field and finish what he started when he was 8 years old with his friends from youth football, amongst others that encouraged him to come back and play again. He was so excited, filled with fire and determination. I would watch him from the stands pacing, swaying back and forth, waiting for his time to step onto that field. But as practices, games, and time went on, I saw that fire being extinguished. He wasn't included in the varsity locker room until about 4 games in. Some varsity plays were never included. He was moved to special teams and played both sides, then one side, then no sides. There were tears and fears of being punished for not showing up to practice, but not showing up to practice was a direct result of not feeling wanted or a part of the team. His answer was always, "It doesn't matter, I won't get to play, they don't care." When questioned, asking for answers as to why he wasn't playing, we kept getting the same excuses. He wasn't there for 2 years, he didn't know the place, his heart wasn't in it. He wasn't the only one that came back after 2 years, and he was taller, stronger, and faster as a result of that. You're the coaches. Teach him the plays, mentor him, coach him. It's right there in your titles. His heart was fully in it. You deflated that heart with harsh words and a cold shoulder. The truth is, you didn't want to help him or teach him or coach him. You had your stars, and that's who mattered. Well, it mattered to Dayton, and it mattered to us. You stomped on his fire and watched it smolder until it was nothing but ashes in a small, lifeless pile. My son is strong and resilient and will go on to bigger and better things after all of this. You didn't crush his lifelong dreams, just that part about football. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Mr. Tim Roth.
Well said, and thank you for having me up here. My name's Tim Roth. I've been a active supporter of Canyon football since 2010. Whether it be just simply attending these games or working with specialists on the side. I was lucky enough to play this game at all levels, from youth football up through middle school, high school, college, and a short time in the NFL. I've attended hundreds of games. This is absolutely the worst culture I have ever in my life witnessed from a high school leadership. I'm talking about the coaching, telling kids nobody here is going to the NFL. Why would you say that? Telling kids, oh, we're not going to beat Steele. Why would you say these things? You think the head coach of Northern Illinois last year told them, you guys aren't going to beat Notre Dame? Laughing at kids when other kids go down in a position and there's a hole to be filled and you ask, hey, can you try me there? And you get laughed at? This is the way that we're treating our kids, leaving them in the JV locker room. And then when they get so disgruntled that they finally end up quitting, you clean out their locker room within an hour and take some of their personal valuable stuff with them, and when they ask where they are, go find it. These kids, all they want is a mentor. We've got plenty of parents here that are great parents, but these kids are at a pivotal time of their life. These are 15, 16, 17-year-old boys. They're big boys, but they're boys. And all they want is a mentor. All they want is somebody to accept them. Maybe a little hard coaching is okay, but then build them back up. Don't make them feel the way that Kim just explained. And this is not just our son. This is across the board. After the San Marcos game, I watched these seniors walk down from the 50-yard line. Some of them had tears in their eyes because it was their last home game. It's emotional. A lot of them had tears in their eyes because maybe, like my son, was hoping just to maybe get a lick or two in senior day. Maybe he had grandparents fly out from the West Coast to watch his last hurrah in his home stadium and suit up. But he didn't get that. He will grow from it. He is a resilient kid. And like I said, he's not the only one. So I hope that this board will address the coaching staff and the culture at Canyon High School, and hopefully the next class that comes up does not have to endure the same thing that these seniors did. Thank you.
Our next speaker, I apologize, I can't read this handwriting, Courtney Ledstorm.
Hi, my name is Courtney Ledsworth, and I came tonight to share some concerns that my husband and I have concerning the Canyon High School football program. I've been reluctant to speak out publicly for fear of retaliation against my athlete. I am here to advocate for change in the leadership of this program. First and foremost, I'm a parent of 3 athletes. I have a junior in college who came through this athletic program and also played football for Canyon. I have a current senior and a future Cougar who will be here before we know it. I am also a former educator. So what should be a meaningful year of excitement and celebration has by far been a year of disappointment, frustration, and tears. Most of the concerns that I bring to you tonight have been reported in 2024. CISD administration was made aware, and I did actually receive a response immediately, which I do appreciate. It's the follow through and the lack of communication that was promised that I'm less than satisfied with. I'm going to start with the player safety and protocols. To say that we need to make a very close examination of safety protocols is an understatement. My athlete suffered a season-ending injury during practice very early in the season. This injury happened early in the morning, and neither parent was notified. I discovered this injury after I came home from work that evening. Let me reiterate, there was no phone call to either parent. My athlete was told to get up, get off the field, while the head coach walked off. Not an evaluation of his condition, not asking him if he could walk off on his own. And we certainly did not stop practice. Fellow teammates as well as trainers assisted him off the field. My child was in so much pain and experienced extreme swelling throughout the day while trying to manage still continuing classes. He had to return to the trainer for icing and crutches. By 5:30 in the evening, his knee was 3 times the size it should have been and was unable to bend his knee. I wish I could say this was the first time, but this exact same injury happened a year prior during pretty much the same scenario. My athlete feared giving us details because he wanted to continue to play football. We made the difficult decision to leave the Canyon High School football program following this injury this year for the health and safety of my child's knee. What if this outcome of his MRI had been different? I do have to say I'm grateful that this did not require surgery, but it could have turned out very differently, and for some athletes, they were not as fortunate. I finally received an email letting me know about his injury, but by then I was fully aware. The next morning, I did receive a phone call from the head coach saying the trainer emailed me. The email was returned and he wanted to be kept in the loop on my son's injury. When I asked why neither parent was called, he said another athlete had a seizure and an ambulance was called. Let me tell you what that said to me as a parent, that my child was not as important.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Miss Allison Neal.
Hi, my name is Allison Neal, and I'm a proud Comal ISD employee, so I'm going to put my badge on so that I can talk to you in sincerity, not just as an employee, but for this moment as a mom. I have been familiar with Canyon High School since my son, one of my oldest son, came to play for Canyon High School in 2016, 2017. He had a starting left outfield position for baseball, and he played for our district AD. So I am familiar with a lot of people in districts, and I have formed some amazing relationships with a lot of people standing in this room today. So please know that I come here with my mom heart. I am asking this board, and I am asking the administrators of Canyon High School along with the district AD to do an accountability review. I know the standards of Comal ISD, I live those. For many of you who have never met me before, many of you have shook my hand when I received a 590 award for the year, the annual 590 award, and I shook all of your hands. I know what it means to give of service. I know what it means to pour into our students. I know what it means to show up, to speak, to deflate, to give promise, to give hope to students all the time. My students at my campus are one day going to feed into this pattern, and I will show up for them like I do for my own children. I have 2 at Canyon High School, a senior who will graduate this year and a sophomore, and I have a 7th grader who will soon be a future Coug. I'm asking you to please give this program an accountability review. They need to be held to a standard by which all of you are here elected for and have taught us to be. The campus culture at Canyon High School is deflating. If you can imagine for a moment at the end of a very, very devastating playoff game, My senior son was standing in the very, very back, and he was removing his pads. He was alone, and there was no coach to comfort him. There was no coach to tell him, good job, and I'm sorry that your season ended. It wasn't just mine, but it was all of our sons that were standing there alone, swaying back and forth while the song was playing. He walked over, and for the first time in 2 years, he buried his head right here into my shoulder, and he hugged me, and he said, with tears, crying, I deserved better. And son, I'm here today to say that you are right. I'm asking these coaches to teach. What are you expecting if you don't pour in to make them strong men? I played sports. I had a hard coach, but to this day, he's my friend. I'm asking as a board that you acknowledge that these are 589 square miles of Comal ISD, and Canyon High School needs your attention. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Miss Lauren Duloc.
Good evening. My name's Lauren Duloc. I have a senior at Canyon High School who also plays football. I have 3 other children in Comal ISD schools that will soon be at the high school in several years. I come to you as a parent and a business owner and a sponsor of our football program. My business name is on the scoreboard. I support this program until now. 5 days ago, I made a simple post about how this season felt for myself, my senior, our family, and our friends. I never expected making a post from the heart what I was feeling, that it would turn into 20 other families reaching out with very similar experiences. What troubles many of us and myself is that these concerns are not new. I myself brought this up to the principal, the head coach, the district athletic director last year. About a dozen other families did the same thing. So this is not a new concern. There was no accountability taken because this season only got worse for our kids. It only got worse. So I decided to do something. I created a survey, and I wanted to get feedback from the kids where they could speak anonymously without fear of retaliation. And I want to share with you guys some of the things that these kids have shared with us. One student said he joined football hoping to find a family, but instead felt the team became united because it was them against the coaches. Another parent described watching their senior son full of excitement, only to be passed over repeatedly for young players. That student also shared how painful it was to walk into the varsity locker room and see empty lockers while he was made to be in the JV locker room. This boy played for Canyon High School for 4 years. He had to wait until his senior year to be on varsity, and he was so proud, but he couldn't be with his friends. His coaches made him be in the JV locker room, while other younger players were welcomed straight into the varsity locker room. I'm asking you tonight to please listen to these parents. These could have easily been one of your children, and it's heartbreaking. My son experienced horrible comments from his coaches, his mentors. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I'm asking for now, after 2 years, can we see some accountability? Can we see some change? Our kids deserve a positive culture, and they shouldn't lose the love for the sport that they had over a coach. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jessica Harlow.
Hi, I'm Jessica Harlow, and I'm going to be reading a statement from another parent who couldn't be here tonight regarding her son, who is a football player at Canyon High School, not a senior. I would like to voice the following concerns with the coaching staff. The staff lacks a genuine concern for their student athletes as well as the parents. The lack of professionalism and respect is unbecoming of someone in their position. I have tried on several occasions to address various issues with them, and they showed very little concern. My son has been playing football since he was 5 years old, and he really enjoys it. I'm afraid his love for the game will fade away due to some recent issues he has experienced with his coaches. As you know, football is a very physical sport, and at times emotions run high. During a game, my son was visibly frustrated with the play and voiced his opinion, only for it to be held against him. His comment was interpreted that my son quit, even though he never stated that. As a result of speaking freely, he was kicked off the team. We scheduled a meeting with the staff to clear things up, but was not granted a fair chance. This decision was solely on the staff and should not have been made during a football game in which emotions were running high. With no other choice, we accepted being removed from the team and asked to be granted a transfer. It was then said that the transfers were too much work and would not be granted. Even after it all, my son still showed up at the games and supported his teammates from the stands. My son hopes to continue pursuing his dreams of becoming a standout college player, but had his season cut short, and like many other football players, my son is afraid to speak because of retaliation. Ultimately, this should be a concern about the overall development of these young men and should have their best interest at hand. I do not feel that this is the case at this point. I thank you for your time in this. It's no coincidence that everyone that has come up to speak has experienced some degree of concern with these coaching decisions. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Kevin Samuelson.
Good evening. For the past 12 months, I've stood here and spoken through the values of Army taught me: loyalty, duty, respect, self-service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Those values guided me through difficult experiences. Now, a few months ago, I told you of something my command sergeant major once told me. There is no such thing as a stupid solution. Bring the problem, bring a solution. Even if it sounds like a stupid one, we'll figure it out. Now, over the past 12 months, none of the solutions available to me seemed good, so I did the only thing I could. I began researching the laws that govern our schools and our state. One question became 10, and eventually I reviewed every House and Senate bill from the last session, more than 1,000. I reached out to every author and sponsor for clarification. I built a website so Texans can read these laws in plain language. Now, long before I ever began researching bills or building a website, I went to the media to share what happened with my microphone was muted during the public comments and the writ of mandamus I filed because my free speech was suppressed. Several journalists told me that they wanted to run the story, but they weren't allowed to. I'm not saying anyone here had anything to do with that, but it showed me something important. Information that affects families, children, taxpayers, and entire communities can be quietly kept off from the public. As I continued researching, I spoke with legislators about food independence through hydroponics, water independence through atmospheric generators, and energy independence through modern reactors, and ways to create real security for Texans. Several told me that with these ideas, I should run for Congress or the Senate. But here's the reality. I had just published a site showing which bills strengthens Texans and which bills weaken them. After exposing that, I wouldn't be treated as an equal inside the legislature, and staying silent is not an option. So I went back to what my command sergeant major taught me. There are no stupid solutions. If the obvious solutions don't work, look at the solution that sounds impossible and pursue it anyway. And that is why I made a decision. I'm going to run for governor of Texas. Not out of anger, not out of ego, but because the laws passed in Austin do not just affect me. They affect this board, they affect your families, they affect our children, they affect every teacher, every taxpayer, and every Texan. And the people deserve to know what is being written in their name. I will be traveling across Texas to share what I have learned and to give Texans the information the media would not publish. And I will be using my First Amendment right, the same right I've defended here, to speak freely with the people about their laws, their government, and their future. My website is TexanResilience.net, and everything I've researched is there for anyone to see. This room has been part of my journey. Speaking here each month taught me persistence, discipline, and the importance of being heard. And as I enter this next chapter, I will continue to stand wherever I need to until Texans have the information they deserve. And I'll leave you with the slogan I chose for this campaign because it applies to us all. Corruption or freedom, you decide. Now, one thing you last told me was Comal ISD is no longer run like an education system. It is run like a business. It's time to fix that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Samuelson. The next agenda item is number 4, Board President's Comments. I want to thank you all for taking the time to come and speak to the board this evening. I have never used this a lot of time for President's Comments, but I would like to say a few things this evening. I first want to thank Mr. Cleve for the gift to the board that is appreciated, and thank you for recognizing the district and board's attempt to follow the laws. The number one priority of this district is to make sure your children are getting an education and prepared for whatever the next step is for them after 12th grade. In return, our goal as a board is to set the expectations for the district so your children excel. As a mother of 3 ISD students, Comal ISD students, my goal as a mom is that they are good human beings and contributing citizens to the community and their future selves. It's my job to raise my children and my job to assist the district in ensuring that yours get an education and are prepared when they leave Comal ISD. We hear and see a lot of people, situations, and concerns in this position, but our goal for your children is unwavering. So thank you for taking the time tonight to come out and speak to us. We take everything that you say to heart, and the district will follow up on anything that needs to be followed up on, so thank you. Okay, so moving on to business. The next agenda is number 5, Superintendent Reports and Board Information, 5A, Collaborative Team Cycle Presentation. I will turn it over to Ms. Taylor Keller, who will introduce our Canyon High School Algebra 1 team, our CICs, and our principal.
All right. Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Chapman. Tonight we are sharing the exciting work from the Collaborative Team Cycle from Canyon High School's Algebra 1 team. Information regarding this team is included on page 6 of your board packet, and you also have a supplement behind the blue cover sheet in front of you. Joining me this evening to introduce his team is the proud principal of Canyon High School, Mr. Dustin Davison.
Madam President, board members, and Dr. Chapman, thank you for allowing me to introduce this extremely talented team and present them to you this evening. I wanted to give you a short background of this team and how the recruitment of homegrown talent has truly paid off. Robert Espinoza grew up in New Braunfels and was a substitute teacher at Canyon High School before he was hired. Sarah Berry, who could not attend tonight, was a student teacher at Canyon High School before she was hired. Laura Avila graduated from Canyon High School, became an instructional paraprofessional, and then transitioned to Algebra 1 teacher. And then Lynette Randolph has worked at Canyon for 6 years, has a graduate and a sophomore currently at Canyon. As you have heard, the efforts Comal ISD uses to grow our own is working well.
All right, I am so excited to introduce this team. I do want to share a little bit of data with you about why we chose this team member. So each semester, you know, we have the honor of recognizing outstanding collaborative team cycle team members whose work exemplifies our shared commitment to student success. This team of teachers behind me made a significant impact on student achievement. Over last year, their students showed remarkable growth from the 8th grade Math Star to their Algebra 1 end of course assessment. Across all performance levels, students demonstrated consistent improvement, reflecting the strength of this team's instructional practices and their deep commitment to every learner's success. As a result, the Canyon High School Algebra 1 team achieved the highest Algebra 1 growth score out of all comprehensive high schools last year. In Comal ISD, CTC teams work together to develop actionable strategies to engage students and maximize performance. At the heart of this work is the core belief that the team's collective actions impact student learning. This team is dedicated to cultivating trusting relationships with their students, developing mathematical mindsets in the classroom, and believes in the power of frequent feedback. It is my pleasure to share a quick video that provides just a glimpse into their classrooms.
We have to go to every single person to find 2 pretty points.
The equation or trend line? One of the hardest things about being a math teacher is you have kids that come into your classroom and they don't like math. They don't want to do math. They don't see the point in it. They don't see why it's important. Building that relationship, for me, it's getting them to change their mindset. A lot of the times I find that the reason why they hate math so much is because they're discouraged. They feel dumb and they feel like they can't do anything. They feel hopeless, essentially. What I end up doing, what I end up realizing is that it's easier for me to find ways to get them some kind of buy-in, to show them, hey, you can do this little problem, this easy problem, you can do this. Okay, let's try another easy little problem. Let's try another easy little problem. I end up spending more time building that confidence, building their confidence back up. It's been phenomenal. It's the hardest thing to do, but the payoff is awesome.
But I know what it feels like to walk into a classroom and feel like right off the bat, this is math, I'm not gonna understand this. It's like you automatically set yourself out. So you've already taken out the opportunity to learn because you already think that you're not gonna be capable because you've struggled so much in the past. So I tell them, like, I understand that struggle and I get it. And I know how to work through it and I know what it feels like when it pays off all the extra effort that you had to put in to understand something that you really, really struggle with. If somebody showed me a backflip right now and I tried to do that same backflip right off the jump, I'd probably break my neck. I was like, but if you sat here and you practiced it and you had a coach and you did it over and over and over, eventually you're gonna land that backflip. It's gonna feel really, really good. I was like, and same thing with the test. I'm gonna show you a problem right now and it's gonna look really scary. I was like, and if I had you do it on your own, you'd probably break your neck. I was like, but we're gonna continue to work through this and eventually you're gonna land that backflip. It's gonna feel really, really good. You know, you're not bad at math, you just don't understand it yet, you know? And forming that trust with them really helps. And then when they take their quizzes and their tests, I like to give them their feedback right away. Tell them, come up and get your grade. And when they get, you get to tell them they got a 100. I'm like, look at you landing that backflip, And they get really excited and it forms that connection of like, I believe in you. You can believe in yourself too.
I had a group of kids over there with fastest does not mean best and making mistakes. And I was like, okay, why is that important to you? And then they would go have the little discussions and then we had a class discussion. After they finished standing by these posters and seeing, okay, what's most important to you? I went and I stood by the one that was most important to me, which was this one over here, explaining your thinking. I was telling them that, my job as a teacher is to understand what your thinking is. Them being able to explain their thoughts is one of the most important things for my teaching philosophy is being able to know what they're talking about and knowing what they're doing.
Well, now we're actually going to draw the line and use that line to make statements and predictions about things that are going to happen in the future. We'll have our warm-up notes and then they'll get that immediate practice where we'll walk around and check. And if time allows, have them come up and do it on the board. When I'm doing the notes in class or we're doing something new on Desmos, I'll add something new and I'll be like, everybody give me a thumbs up when you're there. Everybody give me a thumbs up and then we'll do the next part. And so I walk it through with them and then we do it all together and then I'll be like, okay, you guys try it, and they'll try it and I'll walk around and help and then we'll come back together and do it all together again. We'll do that a couple times and I'm like, okay, you do 3 or 4 problems and then we'll come back together and we'll check them. And then it eventually gets to the point where we just have a practice day and I walk around with an answer key and a stamp. And stamp, 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 and if you've got kids still struggling, you can help them and kind of address their personal need versus doing it as an entire class when the majority of kids may already know what to do.
Okay, since you know how to do it now, what if it was a -1? Yeah. Good.
What we ended up realizing is how freaking much kids love stamps and stickers. We use it also as that feedback tool of if they're getting problems right, if they're doing things right. Also, it's a real quick reward for them to where, oh, you missed this little piece right here, no stamp for you. And then they go, wait, I got it. Yeah, okay, can I get a stamp now? And I'm like, dude, chill out. I was coming back.
Yeah. But it gives them that motivation because a lot of the times they just do a paper and then turn it in. And so when you go around you checking as they go, you're catching mistakes and it gives them motivation to want you to come over and check it.
And then a 75, a weak or strong test grade? Strong, I would agree. Good.
As I hope you just saw, this team embodies our word for the year, nurture. They are relentless in reaching every child. They know their students by name and need, understanding their stories, their strengths, and their struggles. The student academic gains are a direct result of embracing data and heart. It is my pleasure to step aside and invite this team to the podium to answer any questions you may have for them.
Thank you, Ms. Keller and Mr. Davison. I'm gonna start off while my board members gather their thoughts. Just a few things. I love that you recognized that math is a struggle to some kids. I think probably the majority, right? It doesn't always come natural, but that you build them back up. I think that's great. That can be implemented in any aspect of life, and I think that's wonderful. I know Miss Berry isn't here, but I think she said, you're not bad at math, you just don't understand it. And I think you could take math out of there and put anything in that place. Like she used the example of the backflip. Anything you just don't understand it. So you're getting on the level of a child, which takes me to my final thought about stamps and stickers. Like, how fun is that? Like, even as adults, right? When you get a stamp, you know you're having a good time somewhere, right? Usually when you get that stamp. But for the kiddos, like that's a reward that they can strive for, and it's something so simple. So your recognition of understanding kids is what makes your group so awesome. I don't really have any questions. I just want to say thank you for doing what you do every single day, and I love that you're Comal ISD graduates, some of you, and have kiddos here. So board members, are there any questions? Mrs. Shaw.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I just have one question because, you know, there are if a kid has been kind of unsuccessful at math over the course of a number of years, I mean, it looks like you all are building relationships and talking about, you know, one-on-one. But how long does it take to turn that around to where you really start, after using these techniques, to really, you know, start, as we used to say, it takes a while to turn a battleship. You got to, like, how long does it take before you start seeing that light?
Yeah. So one thing I want to say is I have a lot of kids that come into my classroom, and it's when they come in, we look at their 8th grade star, we see how they did last year, and I have kids that have never passed a test with more than a 50. They're making 20s, they're making 30s, and so what my goal then becomes is, okay, let's not shoot for 100, let's not shoot for 70. Let's shoot for something, let's go for a 45. Let's go for a 50. Let's go for a 55. Okay, do you understand everything? Let's go from there. And being able to celebrate those small victories is really kind of the way that I'm able to take that kid and turn them around and be like, okay, I think I can do this. And then from there, we just build and we build and we build. And so turning a kid around, it does take a minute. And so for the most part, I want to say it's an all-year struggle. And maybe struggle is not the word, but it is definitely an all-year process.
Sorry. Mr. Garner?
Thank you, Madam President. I hope I'll get a sticker after I ask this question. So, I think I've told the board this before, but 32 years ago, I was an Algebra 1 teacher. So hard to believe. I know I was like 13. It's crazy. So I really connected with what Robert said because it's all about confidence with math, right? And I've been the student that didn't have confidence, and I've been the teacher with kids that didn't have confidence. But the way you get them to have confidence or give them a chance at confidence is by building a relationship with them. So that totally connected me to 32 years ago. So that was awesome. And so back then, my prep was I'd turn to the next page of the textbook and write some examples on the chalkboard, and we'd start talking about it, right? So technology's changed a little bit. So I want you guys to tell me how you use the Chromebooks for interacting and as a technique for teaching.
Yeah, so for us, we really use the Chromebooks mostly for our students to be able to actually visualize and interact with a lot of the math that we're going over. Whenever they're trying to draw by hand or do anything like that, we allow an online calculator, Desmos, to really be able to have something concrete for them to look at, for them to manipulate, as well as for them to be able to understand kind of what's going on. Not only that, but we use kind of a mix of paper, online, as well as some of our testing platforms. Because for us, the biggest thing is at the end of the year, we're going for a STAR test. And that STAR test, unfortunately, is all online. And the one thing that we need is a kid to be comfortable with a Chromebook, as well as being able to use all the interfaces that are on that Chromebook.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Mr. Krasinski.
Gosh, new mic, sorry. It's a little further away from my face than I'm used to. I just want to thank you all for probably doing what I had the hardest job was. Y'all do the hardest job. I had a hard time understanding math. But thank you for giving the kids confidence. I think Mr. Garner alluded to it. I think you alluded to it throughout the video, but confidence seems key in math. And some of these kids, as you mentioned, have a harder time and may not come in with as much knowledge. I've got a kid in algebra right now, so I'm struggling just as much as they are, just trying to get through their homework. So it's you got a hard job, and we appreciate all the hard work and effort that y'all do, and obviously thank you for the taking the time out and doing this for us, and so that we can see how all this is going. So I did want to ask, how did y'all come up with using, or what made you start using those stamps in the class?
The stamps were actually just started out as fun because kids really love stamps and stickers. Stamps are a little cheaper and they're faster. Another reason is, when you're a co-teacher and we're just walking around on a work day, I'm usually doing a small group or something, or if we're doing warm-ups, we'll go around and check. It's just a really fast way to check and see if people are getting it. And if they're not getting it, I can pull them to a small group back in the back and work with them a little bit more, do a little reteach or something like that. Also, it's nice for the teachers, if you're grading papers and you see stamps all over, it's 100 versus a half of a stamp page, and it's just a lot of different reasons why it's helpful. It motivates kids. It's a quick feedback. It keeps them pushing on and trying to get as many stamps as they can. And essentially, they're still doing the work, so I'm going to use stamps as much as I can, just to get them to keep working and trying.
That's great. Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you guys so much for that. This is probably one of my favorite things to see at board meetings, is just seeing y'all come out and doing what you do every day and just showcasing just not how you're doing it, but why you're doing it and that you're loving it. I think that second slide with your achievements speaks volume. And while the video was going, I could feel your pride. I could feel your pride for yourselves, but also for your students. And that is really, really cool to see. I have an 8th grader. So using the past, you don't know where you're going until you know where you've been. And that's really refreshing to see, just setting those goals that are challenging, but they're approachable, right? Like there's something that you can do, and taking the time with those students. I was kind of hoping you would bring the stamps today for us, but it's okay. We'll come see you. No, just kidding. I have a question for Principal Davison. So this team is just, the video says it all. What do you see in this team that sets them apart?
They love each other and they love kids. Honestly, you can't find them apart ever. Ever. Sometimes you're maybe out in the Bromfields and you still see them together and you're like, y'all are still together. But no, seriously, we have our formal CTCs, but every other day you're going to find them together. They're collaborating, they're talking, they're constantly making changes, which again, I think that's what truly makes it a good team, is people that are willing to be vulnerable with each other and say, hey, this didn't work very well. We need to do something different that's better for kids, right? And so I think they do a great job of talking and communicating and planning, and I just try to stay out of their way, right? I just say, what do you need? Tell me what you need. I think I need to order about 1,000 stamps, so I have an Amazon purchase tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow because we got to wait till after the break, but we just try to give them as much as whatever they need to be successful. So.
Oh, good. Well, thank you guys so much, doing what you're doing, taking time out of tonight. I know you probably had a very long day, so thank you for spending time with us, and thank you for every day what you do. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Hennessy.
Don't be taking off yet. We're saving the best for last. You're next. So I've actually seen you guys around the hallways. I know that we've bumped into each other, and watching that video was extra special for me. I really enjoyed watching that and seeing your interactions with your students. Let me applaud you, as Ms. Jones did as well, for the page that we're looking at is the percentages of increase that you got out of these kids in a very short time period is nothing short of phenomenal. It's amazing. We look at all campuses, and when this information was presented to us a couple months back, it stood out. I mean, how could it not stand out? This is truly amazing. And so the team that you guys have put together to do this is working. And so as board members, we're always looking, what can we take from you and put into a bottle and ship out to the rest of our campuses? And that's not always achievable because as we learned from sitting here and listening to you guys, it's a lot to do with that one-to-one relationship that you have. And that's extremely important. And it's obvious that that's important to you guys. And that's what makes the difference, or at least that's what I see makes a large difference. Y'all had to come together at some point and figure out, okay, we're gonna work collectively, and what is that gonna look like? Where did you guys get these ideas? Where did y'all, come together and say, okay, I got an idea from here and from there, and this is how we're gonna do it? Because it sounds like y'all are following the same plan. Is that a fair statement? Okay, so how did y'all come to this plan? Yeah.
I think, there wasn't like a real time and place. We just kind of talked a lot in our CTC, and then we just realized that we kind of have the same core values. And I don't know, since day one, we've always just treated each other like family, and we've just kept that along every year. And that's just really helped us lean on each other and learn from each other, since we all have different personalities and experiences.
Sure, and it may have been mentioned earlier, but it slips me. How long have y'all collectively been as a team, the four of you?
This team, 3 years.
3 years, okay. And do you think that this is able to be replicated by any team across our district? Is there any one thing that you would say, magic wand, let's do this? Is there anything you would pass on?
I think we're one of a kind.
Okay, and that's okay. That's a great answer, because truly, it's great to be one of a kind, and it's working. Thank y'all very much. This is a great presentation. I appreciate y'all coming to spend your evening with us and sharing. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, our next agenda item is 5B, Intruder Detection Audit Findings. I will turn it over to Mr. Corby Wunderlich and Doug Whitehead.
All right, good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Chapman. This evening, we're going to present a summary of Comal ISD compliance and corrective actions as it's related to Texas Education Agency intruder detection audits. The Texas Education Agency, TEA, initiated intruder detection audits in June 2022. As of today, TEA has completed 11 audits across all campuses within the Comal Independent School District. The following summarizes the key actions from the audits conducted on October 10th, 2025. Key action number 1, training for campus staff. In-person training was provided to all campus staff, emphasizing the importance of ensuring all exterior doors are properly closed, locked, and latched. Key action number 2, development of a school safety improvement plan. A comprehensive plan of action was developed to improve school safety procedures. This plan prioritizes the maintenance and timely completion of work orders related to exterior doors. Key action number 3, review with the District School Safety and Security Committee. The findings from the audits and the subsequent corrective actions will be reviewed with the District School Safety and Security Committee on April 16th, 2026. And key action number 4, notification to the board. Specific details of the findings are prohibited from being discussed in open sessions as per TEA guidelines. In our conclusion, this concludes the presentation of the intruder detection audits and the corresponding corrective measures implemented. Comal ISD remains committed to the safety and security of all its campuses, students, and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehead. Board members, are there any questions regarding the intruder detection audit findings? All right, thank you. We will proceed to our next agenda item, number 6, consent agenda. The consent agenda is a mechanism that the board uses to approve a number of routine items together with a single vote. In compliance with Texas Open Meetings Act, the public notice for this meeting includes a list of all consent agenda items, and the board has been provided ample information about these items in advance. Prior to any action taken on the consent agenda, board members may request withdrawal of individual items for clarification or discussion. Board members, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda at this time?
Madam President.
Mr. Hennessy.
Madam President, I move that we pull item 6G, Appraisal District Board votes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hennessy. Are there any other items to be removed? Do I have a motion regarding the consent agenda as amended?
So move.
I have a motion from Ms. Shaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Garner. Is there any further discussion? Did I keep going? We don't have to talk about it? So just move on? Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote in favor, 6-0 opposed, the motion carries. We have an item removed from the consent, so we will proceed to item 7A. The title of the item is 6G. Consider appraisal district board votes. I will turn it over to Mr. Larry Guerra. Thank you.
Thank you, President Bisiotti, Dr. Chapman, and the board. So as you know, you pulled this item that wanted to give the 67 votes that were allowed to give for Guadalupe County. So if you want to make that recommendation, I'll take questions on it.
Thank you. And Madam President?
Yes, Mr. Hennessy.
In regards to 6G, I would like to make a motion that we assign our allotted, our allocation of 67 votes for the Guadalupe Appraisal District to Mr. or Dr. Al Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Hennessy. Board, is there any discussion? Do I have a motion regarding this agenda item?
Madam President.
Mr. Hennessy.
I move to approve item 6G as presented, 67 votes for Dr. Al Burns.
Well, you're going to need to do Bear County too, so just say as amended.
As amended?
Yeah.
Okay. I move to approve as amended item 6G.
Yes, sir. So that'll include your Bear County and your Guadalupe.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it does.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Hennessy, and I have a second from Mr. Krasinski. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 7 and 6 in favor, sorry, we only have 6 up here, and 0 opposed, the motion carries. The next agenda item is 7B, consideration and possible approval of the 2024-25 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. I will turn it over to Mr. Larry Guerra, who will introduce our Whitley Penn representatives.
Thank you, President Bisiotti. So early this afternoon, the independent auditors from Whitley Penn came out and they presented the full audit report to the board audit committee, and they went into detail with it. So he's going to come give a summary tonight to the rest of the board and to the community. So I'll bring up Mr. Patrick Simmons from Whitley Penn.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening, President, Superintendent, and members of the board. My name is Patrick Simmons. I was the audit partner with Whitley Penn, who worked on your audit this year. And quick introduction to other members of our team. Andrew Jeanette, the manager, Laura Quintero, and Selena Sarasaris, the EQCR partner. And so This all starts out in the summertime when we come out and we test your internal controls and do some interim field work, and a lot of work goes into it on y'all's side all throughout the year. But we come in for a couple of weeks in the summer, and then we come back at year end and we get your final numbers and we substantiate all those balances. And so a lot goes into providing an opinion on the financial statements. And so there's a few different kinds that we can provide. I'll jump right into the results. And so happy to provide an unmodified opinion on the financial statement. So it's the highest level of assurance that can be provided. Overall, it's a clean opinion. There were no instances of any findings or non-compliance or internal control matters to report. And then one curveball with the federal single audit this year is there's a delay in the compliance supplement. And so that hasn't been released yet. And so tonight we only have the financial statements and then the internal control over compliance report that will be ready to be finalized. And so the federal single audit will come once the OMB compliance supplement is released, then we're able to issue the final report for the federal single audit. So in here, I do have the draft results, and in the back of the book that you received, there is a separate federal single audit package now, which before it was part of your report, but just note that will be a separate document and will be issued as soon as possible. But the results are in there so you can review those. The major program this year was the special education cluster, and so happy to report no findings. We plan to issue no findings. No matters of non-compliance or question costs were noted. And so that was the results of the audit. And so it's a good time for me to just thank you, your team, for doing such a great job all throughout the year. A lot of work goes into this, and we're only here for a few weeks out of the year, but I know your team works really hard to get this done. So it's great results, and we're very thankful to be able to work with you all. And so some of the highlights here are first of all, the general fund. So had an increase in fund balance of 3.1 million to an ending fund balance of 98.8 million. And then your debt service fund had a large increase to 29 million, about $9 million increase. That's due to the bond payment requirements due to the new bond that's issued in the capital projects fund, which is also why you have the increase in fund balance of 132 million in the capital projects fund. And so the ending fund balance in capital projects is 349 million. And then non-major governmental funds is going to be all of your special revenue funds, your grant funds, and so on. And so 15.2 million was the ending fund balance there, and most of that is your child nutrition fund. And then in the general fund, where the money comes from, this year and last year, you were very consistent with 70% property taxes and 21% state aid. And then this year there is no, that's it. That's very consistent. So property taxes went up from 199 million to 215 million, and state aid kind of went up in proportion to that. Where the money goes in the general fund, so it's great to see a 60% instructional services that is on par with what we'd expect to see. We see around the state at least over 55%, which means the expenditures are going back to the students for instruction. So good to see there. Next high category is support services at 15%, and so on. The remaining categories are less than 100 or less than 10%. And then this last slide here is the unassigned fund balance as a percentage of expenditures. And so over time, so all the way to the right is your 2025 column with 98 million in unassigned fund balance, and that's about 32% of expenditures in fund balance. So if all revenue stopped coming in, you'd be able to operate for about 32% of the year, about 120 days or so, which is above the optimal limit set by TEA, or optimal benchmark set by TEA of 90 days. And then just a few required communication. I won't get into the details of each of these, but we do issue a separate letter for this. And just note that there was a new standard implemented this year, GASB 101, for compensated absences. And that doesn't impact your general fund or anything like that, but it does go on as a long-term liability. And it's in the past, you only had booked a liability for the leave that was going to be paid out when somebody left, but now your team assesses the likelihood that employees will use their leave as time off before they separate from the district. So there's a much larger long-term liability that was recorded in the financial statements this year. That was the key change. No difficulties with management, no disagreements. Overall, a very good experience, and we welcome the opportunity for any questions, but thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation. Appreciate the time that you've spent with Comal ISD and our audit committee with Mr. Hennessy, Mr. York, Mr. Krasinski. So I know they're not always easy to work with, so just kidding. Thank you guys, though, for taking the time and being on that committee. I appreciate that. All right, board, do we have any discussion or questions? Mr. Garner.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. So obviously, thank you for the presentation. We certainly appreciate your guys' professionalism for the last couple of years in doing this audit. I'll say for the staff, you know, we expect that we're going to have a clean audit every single year, and we have a clean audit every single year, but that doesn't make it any, that doesn't diminish the amazingness of doing that every year. And so a couple highlights for me, one is that like the fact that our fund balance is actually at 98 million and not at zero, right, is amazing and shows really every member of our staff doing their best they can to get the most out of every dollar, given the limitations we have here with our 20% homestead exemption that I like to talk about all the time up here. And so I'm really impressed. I'm thankful, and the professionalism that you guys show day in, day out to just really be perfect in everything you do with the numbers and with how we spend our money. So I'm just very thankful.
Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll echo some of Mr. Garner's statements. Thank you to staff for the excellent audit. Obviously, working with the auditors is not the easiest thing to do in the world. And, you know, the professionalism on both sides is very much appreciated. So clean audits are an easy thing and a good thing to have. Not easy, sorry. It's a good thing to have, not always an easy thing to have. So thank you for all your efforts. I will echo a little bit of Mr. Garner here in saying that we have the lowest effective tax rate in the state of Texas. Our tax dollars produce some great results in this independent school district of Comal ISD. And it is to the staff and to all these folks in here working every day to make sure that happens. But this is a testament to our tax dollars at work doing great things. So thank you all for showing us how these numbers actually affect our kids. So thank you.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd just like to state from past experience, we love a great relationship with our auditors, but a clean audit to me is just a reflection of the day in, day out great work that our finance department does all the time. It's just kind of a checkup. It's, we call it a sanity check. It's like everything is working the way it should. And I really think that our taxpayers, our community within Comal ISD can have some real confidence of these consistent audits that that show that everything is being done very, very carefully and very, very diligently, and that we're using tax dollars to the very best purpose. Thank you.
Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you for illustrating that audit report so cleanly, but undone. Okay, so no, really, I hate to echo my board members, but I think it deserves to be echoed. And the fact that y'all work so tirelessly, and so with our previous presentation, it was all about confidence. Right, and it's so great to have such confidence in our finance team, and then to see the results. Kind of going back to Ms. Biasotti's and just saying, you can put some certain things in every aspect of life to this, and this is one of them, is that confidence. And so to have that confidence, but then to see that confidence excel. So I truly thank you. Mr. Garner, Homestead, Mr. Krasinski, you all took my thunder, but thank you guys, and then thank you for presenting to us tonight. I truly appreciate your work as well. Thank you.
And Mr. Hennessy.
Thank you, Madam President. If I could also, Mr. York, as you mentioned, was at the meeting this afternoon with us as we went through this information. He asked that I share with you about our meeting. And so I said, okay, I will quote you, Mr. York. So as we're going through and we're looking at the fund balance, which you had already mentioned as well, Mr. Garner, that our fund balance has increased. And this is Mr. York's quote: "This is insanely great. We're over 3 million increase and we expected nothing." So this is one of those things where we as a board, when we're talking budgets, we're thinking deficit all the way. Again, through Dr. Chapman's work and the work of his financial team here in the district, once again, they've done some amazing things. And so we actually saw an increase in our general fund, which was not expected by any of us up here on this board. A small increase, but nonetheless an increase that puts us, in my opinion, at a much safer limit. As we were going through this, I was remembering back to the 2020-2021 era where our fund balance was shrinking very quickly, and we didn't think that we were going to have a fund balance the following year. To see where we are right now is nothing short of amazing. So I credit you, Dr. Chapman, and your staff for being able to implement the work that we've asked of you and to do it successfully. And most importantly, it's the right thing to do. We are doing great things for our kids right now, so I'm very proud of that. Mr. York also directed some of his questioning specifically towards the construction projects and bond monies that we're going through right now, because as we all know in an audit that, wherever the big pot of money is, that's where the big pot of problems could potentially be. Obviously, we don't have any of those problems around our big pot, so that was something that we were also very excited to talk about earlier this afternoon. And lastly, it goes without saying, you guys are incredible. Larry, your team is incredible. And throughout the years, y'all have been incredible to us as well. This year, I felt very well informed. I felt educated and ready to take the information being presented to us from our auditors, our outside auditors, and to understand that. And so I thank you guys for over the years being able to impart your knowledge and wisdom onto us as well to make us better school board members as we sit up here. All that being said, we're still going to have financial issues in the future. It's, even as nice as this looks, it's really not that nice. Let's just keep in mind that we are still, as you pointed out, Mr. Garner, that exemption could do a whole lot for our district. If you could have just imagined what our budget, if we had that 20% exemption and we were made whole through that, the amazing things that we could really do. I'm so proud of this district. I'm so proud of us financially, because that's what I'm concerned about is our taxpayer dollars. And I sit up here with full confidence knowing that we are doing and spending our tax dollars the right way for these kids. Sounds like a big soapbox, as Mr. York would say, so I shall step down. Thank you.
Thank you, board. Thank you, financial team, and thank you for that audit presentation. Do I have a motion regarding this agenda item?
President Biasotti, sorry.
Yes, Mr. Krasinski.
I move to approve the 2024-2025 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Krasinski and a second from Mr. Hennessy. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. With a vote of 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is 7C, consideration and possible approval of the acquisition of new library materials. I will turn it over to Mr. Scott Monroe, Jillian Pratt, and Ms. Kristen Day.
Good evening, President Biasotti, Dr. Chapman, members of the board. I want to thank you for your time and consideration this evening. As you know, the 89th legislative session enacted Senate Bill 13, which requires, prior to the placement and circulation of any new library materials to the district, that those be posted for 30 days as a minimum for public review and comments. So tonight we're bringing 589 titles to you for approval consideration. There were an additional 20 titles that were also posted for public review and comments that did receive comments of concern that have been pulled from this list for further review. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jillian Pratt, our Director of Digital Learning and Library Services, to go through a little more details on the process.
Good evening, Dr. Chapman, President Biasotti, and members of the board. In August, Library Services presented a timeline showing the generalized steps of the acquisition process. We would like to provide you with a summary of the actions taken in place in order to present the first CISD library materials approval list, and tonight's step is actually step 5 in the process. Step 1 of the acquisition process is to collect the titles the librarians wish to add to the campus library collections. The librarians added to a shared spreadsheet by a specified date, leaving the library services staff time to refine the list before making it available to the public. The details the librarians include for each title, which is the ISBN, which is the International Standard Book Number, the title, the author, the series if applicable, the minimum grade level, the vendor rating, the genre, a summary, and 2 professional reviews. Library Services monitors the titles added to the list, ensuring the librarians are completing their research. During step 2, prior to making the list available to the public, Library Services refines the list by removing any titles with the same ISBNs that are already available in our Comal ISD collection. According to Senate Bill 13, only unique ISBNs need to be approved. After removing any titles with the ISBNs already in the district collection, 609 titles remained on the list for November. In this graphic, you can see that of that 609 titles, 151 of those titles we already had in the collection, but they have an updated ISBN. So new cover, audiobook, maybe they added a fun graphic at the end, and they have to be added to the approval list. On October 20th, 2025, 30 days before the November board meeting, Library Services made the list available to the public by posting it on our Library Services webpage, which is found under Students and Families. Along with the list, the required community feedback form was also available by link. Eligible community members submitted 20 community feedback forms, 1 per title. Once feedback was received, Library Services removed the 20 titles from the approval list and initiated our 3-step process, which is research, read, and review. The list of the 20 titles, their community feedback, and a sample form can be located under your yellow sheet. Any of these titles that are reviewed and determined to be recommended for approval will be added to a future meeting agenda with review findings. This evening, Library Services presents these 589 titles. Isn't that funny? 589. Okay. With unique ISBNs for approval, and the list does not include any titles under review. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that.
Any questions?
Thank you for that presentation. Board members, do we have any discussion? Mr. Krasinski.
Thank you, Madam President. I would obviously thank you for the presentation. I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. This process hopefully shows our community, our parents, and students that we take this seriously. We're considering the books that are not only in our libraries, but being added to, and that there is a robust process around how we go about evaluating and improving these books. And I would like to, I'll just toot y'all's own horn here, but you've got a great website that has all this lined out with every single book in every single school, so that parents have the transparency that I think they have asked for and received now for their kids. So there should be no questions, meaning if they have a question, they can find out for themselves and self-service that. And then if they have questions, I'm sure that they can contact whoever they need to contact. But I think this gives us a great process. It gives us a great foundation for our future. So thank you all for putting this together, and thank you for the presentation.
Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Madam President. So I will echo everything he said. Just like every process in Dr. Chapman's district, this is a tremendously professional, well thought out, a thorough process. And so I thank you guys very much. I know it's a lot of work. I know this places a lot of work on our librarians, and the Garner family loves our librarians, so thank you very much, and please pass on my appreciation to them as well. Thank you.
Ms. Shaw?
Thank you, Madam President. Just to clarify for me, who are eligible community members? What is that eligibility?
So the Senate Bill 13 states that it needs to be somebody who lives within the school district.
Okay. And to also point out that those folks who perhaps are not questioning a book's availability to all students, but perhaps think that a certain book might not be appropriate for their own child, they also have a very easy way to go online and make sure that their own child can. It's not like the old days when I just checked my kid's backpack every day to see what was in it. You can go online and decide whether or not, if what books your child cannot check out. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's the Roots and Reads program, and it's being utilized. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Hennessy?
Thank you, Madam President. I can't allow Mr. Garner to go on and say that he likes librarians more than me. I love a librarian, too. So these books, and last time we met, I asked what the process, how long, et cetera. So when you come back to us, these will all be reviewed within that?
Probably not in December.
Okay.
Well, maybe the next list, which will be February, because it will take time for us to get them and review them.
Of course.
Yeah, because we don't actually have some of them.
Okay. Yeah, and as I go through this list too, and there are parameters for when you are looking to do this with books, and when you go through, it lists title, name, author, all that kind of stuff, and then it says your knowledge of the book. And then when you look at that list of these people that are pulling these books, and we ask them, well, what knowledge do you have of this book? Have you read this book? I believe there's 20 on the list that are in front of me right now. All 20 of them that have been asked to be pulled and to be reviewed, it states here, I have not read the entire book. All 20 of them. So context being important, that's why I love a librarian, because they will be able to read these books in context and not just pull out bits and pieces and try to determine is a book acceptable or not, just based on one paragraph. Just wanted to point that out. I love a librarian. Thank you very much.
I would like to say, when I was a new board member, one of the first questions that I was asked by a constituent was, what was our library procedure? And I had no idea. And when I asked, there really wasn't much of a process. So that was a very interesting conversation on my end, because we really didn't have much. There was things in the works, but not like we have now. I think we're way ahead of our time. We all read the news and read the paper and see our neighboring districts have been in a little pickle. But I will say, and Mr. Krasinski said this, and I think it's super simple. Parents just want transparency and process and procedure. And like Mr. Garner said, in our financial world, in our bonds, now in libraries, that's what we're providing. And it's making our job so easy, because we can say, here it is, go look at it. So I just want to say thank you to Dr. Chapman and his team for putting the work in to make it accessible to parents too, because that's all that they want. So I appreciate everything that you and your team do, and I respect and love a librarian as well. But again, thank you, and thank you for the process and procedure you've put in place. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion regarding this agenda item?
Madam President.
Mr. Hennessy.
I move to approve the acquisition of new library materials as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Hennessy and a second from Ms. Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. With the vote in favor, 6 in favor and 0 opposed, the motion carries. Thank you. The next agenda item is number 8, closed session. As authorized under Texas Government Code, including but not limited to sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.0821, 551.084, 551.089. Item 8A pursuant to section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code, deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. And item 8B pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, consider and discuss personnel employments, resignations, retirements, and assignments. Discuss the format for and expectation of the superintendent formative evaluation process. Audience members are welcome to remain in the boardroom as board members recess for deliberations. The time is now 8:35 p.m. Is 9:48. Our last agenda item for the evening is item 9, adjournment. Would like to wish everyone a safe, relaxing, and enjoyable Thanksgiving break next week. Our next regular scheduled board meeting will be held on Thursday, December 11th at 7 p.m. here in Support Services Boardroom. Ladies and gentlemen, there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 9:48 p.m.